Welcome to the Fit Diet Podcast, where we'll learn the processes and habits of healthy eating, exercise, and lifestyle. Food for fitness, if you will, with the founders of MindMuscleMemory.com, Miles Betcha and Greg Rando. Miles' expertise with programs and coaching have led him to training thousands of clients all over for the past 2 decades with enormous success, and he's dedicated himself to transforming the course of fitness and health for many. And his partner, Greg Rando, has his own unique skill set as a professional in the world of bodybuilding, with the ability to teach and inspire all he comes in contact with. Join me now as we discover the secrets of sticky fiber and proper habits and how to implement the MindMuscleMemory.com lifestyle. Welcome in and thanks for listening. Well, hello and welcome again to the Fit Diet Podcast, brought to you by Mind Muscle Memory and the co-owners Miles Betcha and Greg Rando. Greg Rando, how are you today, sir?
Oh, I couldn't be better. Thanks, Bobby, for asking.
Absolutely. Miles, can you echo those same sentiments, my friend?
Yeah, doing great today. Feel like it's such a wonderful lunch. Got those plant-based burritos in. It was great.
Wow.
Lots of energy.
Outstanding. Well, today we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart because the word age is in the title. And being one of the age in the elder statesmen of the trio here, I think that I'm going to glean quite the, I'm going to be the beneficiary of today's teaching, which is, in fact, 5 benefits of strength training for all ages. Strength training is a vital piece of any fitness regimen, and the benefits are plenty, no matter what one's age or ability. There's 5 keys that we're going to discuss today, fellas. 5 key benefits of strength training. Number 1 is increased metabolism. Number 2 is increased muscle mass. 3, of course, is improved stability. 4, decreased risk of injury. That's a big one when we're in condition. And number 5, improved cardiovascular health. So, Miles, if you would, we're going to dive into each one. And number 1, increased metabolism. What is a key benefit? How does increased metabolism benefit us in terms of strength, lean muscle mass, etc.?
Well, let's go back to what you said in the very beginning. That the benefits are plenty, no matter one's age or ability, and the ability part is I sort of see it as exponential. So when I was whether young or before college, in high school or now after, I see I've always sort of gone to strength training to improve my ability to do things, my ability to have sustained work, my ability to run better or have more, better decreased risk of injury. All those things just kept getting better and better. The more I strength train, and I'm going to qualify that with proper form, with good muscle control, good tone, making sure I use the right form, and when you do that, whether you're the 80-year-old bodybuilder that I don't know if you heard there's a few women out there that have taken up bodybuilding at 70s and 80s now, wow. And they look amazing because of the muscle tone they've done, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Let's even say 60s too with Tracy, But even at a younger age, it's just the ability to do things. And that metabolism means that you can just do things longer, with more energy, with more strength, so that you use more calories. And your metabolism just burns up way more calories when you have better strength and better staying power with those activities you're doing. So that's what I always just like to lean on right away, is increase your ability, increase your metabolism.
Yeah. I like and it's almost like it's like a furnace, and it's a cyclical thing. The better you get, the better you get. And so true.
It's true. Yeah, that's what I say, exponential almost. Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned a gal, Tracy, friend of ours, to the listening audience, in her early 60s, just a dynamo. Her physique, her strength is just over the top, and super encouraging for those of us at any age to see what benefits you can realize, like you mentioned, Miles, with proper form, increased muscle mass. Greg. You'd like to speak to that?
Yeah, it's as we talked about in the past, it's sort of like going back to that investment thing, where we increase our muscle mass, our lean muscle, and that in turn increases our ability to burn calories, not only at rest, but while we're exercising to improve and increase our output, whether we're, directly burning calories doing cardio or increasing our strength and looking for the post-workout calorie burn. It is one benefit that I always like to bring up to people, and it's not always as commonly known as I would think, and that's the EPOC acronym, right? The excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. And that's referring to the extra calorie burn that you get while resting for, the day after or following a workout, following a resistance training, a strength training workout, the extra calorie burn that we benefit from while our muscles heal.
And
that's
that rejuvenation of that thing, right?
Yeah, and the trigger and how it benefits and triggers the metabolism, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's right. Sometimes don't explain that well enough to newcomers that you're creating a stimulus to kind of grow, to get better strength. So it's in the rejuvenation, the repair, the recovery that you're just burning a lot more extra calories. Do that, right, Greg?
Yeah, while we're recovering, and in turn you're boosting your metabolism, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I love that.
So that's the and it's not people are always interested to know. Wow, in contrast to cardiovascular activity, where you're primarily burning calories while we're doing it. There's some calorie burn following the workout. Up to 48 hours following a resistance workout, we can continue to burn increased calories. So.
That's amazing.
It's a big difference rather than just a few hours. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. I like because I'm pro lazy by nature. That's and so I know that if I do the work at the front end with resistance training, I'm getting the added benefit of my body's metabolic rate still on the steady for up to 48 hours. That fits in right in with my pro lazy philosophy. I appreciate that one. I got to be honest with you guys. Now listen, I'm not about I say that in a candid manner. I mean, if there's a better way to do it, and one way to skin a cat, I'm gonna focus more now on the resistance training and burn while I'm at rest. I think that's super cool. Super cool.
Oh yeah, also, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, and in fact, I just read about a study. Don't forget very much of the specifics, but the groups were a group that incorporated resistance training, a group that just incorporated cardiovascular exercise, and a group that just cleaned up the diet and tried to lose weight with a clean diet. And the group that incorporated resistance training lost more weight in the term measured than either of the other two groups. So
fascinating.
It was clearly due to it just the generated metabolism that was burning more calories more efficiently and more of the time. Yeah.
Did they in that study talk about any increase of the lean muscle mass changes? Did they measure that as well? Or?
They did, Miles. They did, but I was interested. It was very detailed, and I was looking at a couple different studies. So I just browsed through them. I was really interested in the outcomes, and I'm going to go back and check more into them. But there were a couple of them, and the numbers. There were a lot of numbers. So
that's awesome. Okay, that's awesome.
That's a key benefit. The key benefit to strength training. We're going to find out the other three here in a minute, but we are talking with Greg Rando and Miles Betcha, the founders of Mind, Muscle, Memory, and you're listening to the Fit Diet Podcast. Number 3, improve stability. So I'm assuming, Miles, with that good form and proper movement, muscular movement, we're going to improve our core and stability. Can you elaborate a little further on that benefit?
Oh, yes, for sure. We have, just the experience of having people that, haven't been able to maybe control their balance that well or seem to not have very good muscle control on certain areas, so they feel unstable. And then, with weight training and strengthening, the muscles become greater control, improvement sometimes in range of motion, depending on the age, and of course the focus on flexibility training. But they just have that improvement of their posture and everything that goes along with it, so that when you do your weight training, you're working on your best form, like we talked about, your position of your core, your movement patterns of your muscles with the M3 Muscle Finder, and again, I always like to sort of go through in that whole at any ability idea too, because it's not just the age. I mean, there's tremendous studies for age as well. Obviously, the older you are, the more important it is to incorporate strength training. It's vital to incorporate strength training into your program. But even in a younger age, if you have still some areas that you feel like you don't have the best run movement or your or your balance or your different things, then you incorporate strength training and you can gain that postural position, that control of your hips and your legs. At any age, it's just so important to do the strengthening to make sure you have that the muscle balance.
It's neat as well. With stability, I would think that in turn dovetails into number 4 key benefit of strength training, which is decreased risk of injury, whether we're aging, as we all are, but whether we're getting into the game late in terms of strength training and conditioning, or an aspiring athlete, training for a particular sport. All these 3 keys that we're talking about will decrease the risk of injury, Greg. Discuss the importance of being injury-free as a competitive professional in the world of bodybuilding. I mean, a setback, a shoulder, a knee, an elbow can really put you out of the game for a lengthy period of time, thus affecting your outcomes negatively.
Yeah, without a doubt. Something that I've been sensitive to for a long time, seeing a lot of people get injury. I've always tried to step back in situations and try to think about what can I do smarter, what can I do, how can I approach this situation. But whether we're competing or just going to the gym, it's just real important to seek out somebody who is an expert or a good personal trainer, somebody who's got a lot of experience with resistance training, because like a lot of activities, if we are paying attention or if we study carefully, we can probably identify the fact that we work to our strengths, we work to our favorite side, our more coordinated side. I know at times I have in the past, and it's led to imbalances in my strength from shoulder to shoulder, front to back, or leg to leg, and I've had to identify those things because if these things progress, they're gonna result in an injury. And soft tissue injuries are things that we're all gonna maybe run into periodically along the way. But
what do you mean by soft tissue injuries? What do you mean? What's our soft tissue?
Well, like a muscular strain, or maybe a tendon. Banging up the tendons, creating a little inflammation or tendonitis, things like this that we're going to come across, whether it's repetitive use or lack of hydration or just pushing ourselves. Sometimes these injuries just occur, these soft tissue injuries, and they happen. But the structural stuff, the joints and things like that, those aren't things we can come back from very easily. So it's just really important to find a good personal trainer if this is a new activity, and to get some good education, and or download the Muscle Finder or the Muscle Equalizer program from the Mind Muscle Memory website to help you then identify what joints are being utilized, which muscles are being utilized, help you identify ranges of motion. All these things are going to help you develop the proper muscle patterns to help you achieve efficient strength and use of those areas, and not recruit in other areas or joints and these other body parts that aren't designed to work properly. Because as we get stronger, this is when issues can happen. We're going to get stronger, and this is why we need to make sure we're approaching things properly. Otherwise, the body is very, very intelligent, and it's going to compensate in somehow or some way to give you that information that things aren't quite equal or balanced off as they should be. So, and then of course they're going to result in problems with your hips or your shoulders and your mobility and all these other things.
Overcompensating.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, if you can, for sure, if you can avoid. Yeah, Greg, it's sort of true. You can. What is it, Greg?
Yeah, these are things like we've seen in our clients over the years, and we try to evaluate and address these issues, and and get them going on the right track, right, and get them to be pain-free, get them to have limitless movement, and maximum mobility. So these are all important things. And as you said, Miles, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, we work with a golfer or something like that, and we always know that they're swinging on that plant leg, and they're talking about their hip or their knee. It's like you just don't want to damage that joint. It might be sore or inflamed or something now, or maybe you have limited range. But if you can strengthen, you can then get that inflammation to go away, and then you will hopefully decrease your risk of injury of future things happening because you are having an imbalance in that.
I've been stubborn. Our bodies are so intelligent. You fellas have mentioned earlier, where it's got memory. It responds. It reacts to our commands. And when we override that subconscious knowing of our internal mechanism in terms of musculoskeletal, and we just grind through, the pain, stubbornly. We can look up before long, especially with the skeletal, right, with the joints, Greg, and 2-3 months or whatever, we can be so far off course. So we really need to listen in to our internal ear, pay attention, and by strength training, we can develop that strengthening around these joints, keep ourselves aligned. And because you're right, a soft tissue, and thanks for clarifying that, is a little easier. Tendinitis, with some rest and some heat and cool, we can get over that a little more quickly than say, a hip socket or a hip pointer. A little bit. Yeah,
or a knee really that you're putting undue pressure on and rubbing that knee the wrong way inside on that cartilage and everything else, and on the meniscus. And
absolutely, especially you mentioned golfing and that plant leg, the hip and the knee. I just learned this. You know what where a big injury occurs on a golf course for most people is? When you reach down to retrieve your ball from the cup. If you look out on the golf course, many of us are deconditioned, right? And you see a guy going swinging from the heels, trying to go for that long drive. He's a weekend warrior, and she's not in very good condition. And the simple function of retrieving your ball from the cup, bending over and like staying in that position, you know what I mean? Like, So
rather than squatting down, right?
Exactly. And you watch the pros. I mean, they're limber, and they do it as a matter of rote. No big deal, but it's true. That's what I heard.
There's actually a technique to retrieving the ball from the cup. You see the pros do it, they stand on one leg, they stick their other leg straight out behind them, and they just lean, they lean over and stick their hand in the cup. It's basically a hamstring stretch that they do in their, dynamic exercise routine before and after. It's the same stretch that they recommend them using. You're talking about, Wally the Weekend Warrior, who goes out and shoots like 36 holes and then
stop
goes
talking about me.
And his back is like a question mark at the end of the day, and he goes to reach in the cup and he doesn't come out.
Yeah. The question mark turns into a crap.
Yeah. And then it's a large exclamation point. Holy crap! What did I just do? I'm awake. I swear I'm awake. Oh goodness. I like this one too. Number 5, guys. When we think of cardiovascular health, we think of the treadmill or running or walking briskly. But strength training, one of the benefits is that it improves our cardiovascular health. Miles, how does strength training improve our cardiovascular health? I understand we get a pump and then we rest and all that stuff, but what benefits can we take away long term from strength training in terms of cardiovascular health?
Well, I like how you said, we do think of it just with like a treadmill, going for that walk or riding the bike or something, because that elevates the heart rate. And, when the heart rate gets elevated, because it has to deliver the blood to that working muscle, the legs for the running or the legs for the hiking on the treadmill. And in the same way, if we're doing our arms or we're doing our back muscles, the heart is going to pump towards those to deliver that blood to the working muscles. So the delivery of the blood through those working muscles, like if we're just doing our hips or our hamstrings or we're doing our biceps and shoulders, the heart's going to work the same. It's going to do the same thing. It's going to start pumping and delivering more blood to that working area throughout those repetitions and sets. And, if you do an area for, a different number of sets, even if you do it for just 2 or 3 minutes, you're going to be pushing the heart is going to direct that blood there. So it's the same exact thing, but it's maybe not a sustained heart rate for as long, but you're creating a circulation effect, because, that's one of the 3 main parts to our cardiovascular function is the heart's pump itself, the volume and the strength of the heart, then the circulation out and back, but then also our breathing. So if our respiratory function is good, then we are actually exchanging well for that good oxygen blood to go out and to come back with a good circulation. So we're doing the same breathing and the same blood flow, but it's condensed a little bit more, but we still might work out with weight training for 20 minutes or 40 minutes or 50 minutes. So, we're still doing that whole routine as if we were on a treadmill, walking on an incline 6 or 7 or 8, depending on the intensity.
Interesting.
So,
yeah. And just like our thighs are muscles and they get pumped up, so does our heart as a muscle. And it is natural for the heart to increase slightly in size and healthy for the heart to increase slightly in size if you strength train regularly as well. But yeah, it's and the more, the larger the muscles that you're working, you do a set of squats, that heart has to really move a lot of blood to a couple of big areas. So that makes us breathe, heavier, harder. And so it just illustrates, the heart and its role in helping generate, blood flow and sustainability, strength and endurance to all the muscles that we target.
Well, hand in glove with breathing. You see a lot of folks. It's paramount to breathe properly to get that circulation, and the input, the output. I would think that folks need to really get an education, and they can do that simply by going online typing in mindmusclememory.com. Head over to the blog page. The staff there is taking the time to craft and draft some really good articles. We're pulling from one right now. And I just think that you'll be all the better for it. I would encourage everybody to do that. And Greg, like you had mentioned, the importance of a personal trainer, to reach optimal benefit of a fitness regimen of any kind. It's so important to ensure that we're working at a proper intensity, breathing, input, output, and working within the limitations you may have based on your particular health scenario, your age, and other factors. So working with that personal trainer and working in conjunction with someone from the staff at mindmusclememory.com would ensure that you're working at a high enough intensity to safely and effectively reach your goals. Isn't that right, Greg?
That is so true, Bobby. Incredibly so. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Oh, one would have thought that I would have wrote that myself, but I believe that came from the editor-in-chief over at mindmusclememory.com, Mr. Miles Betcha.
Yeah. And one thing that I always like to add in, we talk about benefits of strength training, and is the emotional piece too that we haven't talked too much about. But I remember back in Boston, I trained a young kid. He was 15 years old. He came in the gym, and he was probably about 6'1", but he was like shorter than me, and I'm not. I'm only 5'7". So he because he was hunched over. I thought his bones were rubber. He was just like the worst posture, all hunched over, just. A
question mark.
And he was like the letter C,
Yeah.
And his dad brought him in. He just said, we just got to get him strong and doing something. And it just in just like 2 months, the kid standing up straight, sticking his chest out, strong arms and shoulders, and glad to have everyone see him. His self-confidence and self-esteem went right through the roof. I mean, it was amazing. He's a different person that I could easily see in his family, notice profoundly as well. So they're the physical benefits, but also for the young kids. Doesn't have to be young kids. Could be any age. Going through anything. To not overlook the emotional benefits. Like we talked about, the opiate
dopamine
group of dopamine and serotonin and endorphins and things. Yeah. These endorphins that exercise produces as well. So
it's so true. And with that, isn't it amazing that you really can see a change in your repetitions of the same weight, and then maybe even go up a slightly heavier weight and do that same amount of repetitions within a short period of time, right? Mm-hmm. So we can. It's one of the things that I always like to mention is like it's one of the things we can so quickly see a positive result in, a success in, and then we can just build upon that. Like you say, Greg, it just changes your emotions. So can change it so quickly. When you see a muscle tone quickly, or you're like, wow, I can do that weight now. That was pretty difficult last 2 weeks ago, and it's one of the things you can really see success quick with.
And that bleeds over into the social spheres. It can actually be a number 6 on our bullet points here. That the self-confidence, the self-esteem that goes along with it, and then that carries over in business. It carries over, and just the way we carry ourselves and overall well-being. Well said. That's so true. The emotional aspect of strength training and its benefit. Excellent point, Greg.
You're right, Miles. And I say this to people: the benefits are measurable. We don't have to wonder. We don't have to assume. We can be like, okay, this is where we started off here on this leg press machine. Look at where we are now. Or this is, we look at this before picture. Look at now. Let's take an after. Let's measure the circumference of the thigh and see about the development around the anterior posterior, the medial-lateral part of the thigh. So a lot of these benefits are very much measurable, and that's encouraging and motivating when you have a good trainer to help identify how to perform these patterns efficiently to get the most out of them. You can get these results rapidly and measure them, and rewarding and encouraging for the client to continue on and reap more benefits and results.
Mm-hmm. And that's why also with your, we encourage other trainers to join our movement and become a brand ambassador to the M3 movement as well.
Excellent point.
Right.
Excellent point. Very, very tangible stuff, guys. I would encourage folks to look into the M3 mindmusclememory.com program, and you can get started today with weight training. If you haven't already, talked to your doctor, do so about implementing this strength training program into your fitness routine. Then contact Mind Muscle Memory and talk to one of our knowledgeable and well-educated personal trainers to get started. Continuing to neglect strength training is robbing ourselves of the amazing benefit that we could be experiencing. Don't have to do that. It doesn't have to be complicated, but it is an important piece to the puzzle of health. It's time to get started today. Guys, I think it's been an insightful 30 minutes talking about the 5 benefits of strength training for all ages. And, of course, the unwritten rule, the 6th point in my estimation, the emotional rewards that we garner as a result of training with weights and exercising. Thanks so much, fellas. It's awesome.
Definitely. Yeah, thank you, Bob.
Well, you've been listening to another episode of the Fit Diet Podcast, brought to you by MindMuscleMemory.com with the co-founders Miles Betcha and Greg Rando. I am your co-host, Bobby Stein, saying thanks for your time, your ear, and listening. And until next time, take good care.